The fluorescent lights at Miller's Diner flickered the same way they had for the past 6 years. Laura Mitchell, 38 years old and running on 4 hours of sleep, refilled coffee cups with the kind of autopilot precision that comes from exhaustion. Her feet ached in the cheap sneakers she'd bought from Walmart 3 months ago, the ones with the sole starting to separate on the left foot. "Mom, I need new cleats for soccer," her son Tyler had texted earlier that afternoon. She'd stared at the message for a full minute before responding with a thumbs-up emoji, not trusting herself to type actual words without crying. It was March 14th, 2024, a Thursday. The kind of unremarkable day that blends into every other day when you're living paycheck to paycheck, stretching dollars like taffy, praying nothing breaks because you can't afford to fix it. After her shift at the diner ended at 3, Laura drove her sputtering 2009 Honda Civic across town to her second job at a medical billing company. She answered phones, processed insurance claims, and listened to people complain about copays while she mentally calculated whether she could afford both Tyler's cleats and the electric bill this month. The answer was no, her family didn't understand this kind of math. Her parents, Richard and Patricia Donovan, lived in a sprawling Tudor-style home in the suburbs of Greenwich, Connecticut. Her father had made his fortune in commercial real estate in the 80s and never let anyone forget it. Her mother spent her days at the country club, playing tennis and gossiping with women who measured their worth in carat weights and vacation homes. Laura's younger sister, Beth, had married a hedge fund manager and lived in a glass and steel monstrosity in Stamford with her 2 perfect children who attended a private school that cost more per year than Laura made total. Her older brother, Marcus, ran their father's company now and drove a Tesla that cost more than Laura had earned in the last 3 years combined. They all looked at Laura the same way, with a mixture of pity and contempt, like she was a stray dog that kept showing up at the back door despite being told repeatedly to go away. "I don't understand why you can't just get a better job," her mother had said last Christmas, sipping champagne while Laura drank water because even wine seemed like an unnecessary expense. "It's not that hard, Laura. You're just not trying hard enough." The divorce had been finalized 7 years ago. Tyler's father, Derek, had left her for his dental hygienist and now lived in Florida, sending child support payments so sporadically that Laura had stopped expecting them at all. The lawyer had cost money she didn't have. The court battles had drained what little savings she'd managed to scrape together. Her family's response? "We told you he was trouble. You never listen." After her billing shift ended at 11:30 that night, Laura sat in her car in the dark parking lot, her head resting against the steering wheel. She was so tired. Not just physically tired, but the kind of bone-deep exhaustion that comes from knowing that tomorrow will be exactly like today, and the day after that, and the day after that. On the passenger seat was her purse, and inside it, crumpled at the bottom beneath old receipts and a broken hair tie, was a lottery ticket. She'd bought it on impulse at the gas station while filling up her tank. $20 of gas, carefully measured, and $2 for a Powerball ticket. It was stupid. It was throwing money away. But for those $2, for just a moment, she'd allowed herself to dream. What would she do with $18 million? She'd laughed at herself as she tucked the ticket into her purse. People like her didn't win the lottery. People like her just kept working, kept struggling, kept being told they weren't trying hard enough. Laura drove home to her 1-bedroom apartment in a building where the heat barely worked and the neighbors upstairs fought loud enough to rattle the ceiling. Tyler was asleep on the pull-out couch in the living room because she'd given him the only bedroom. She was a good mother, even if she was a failure at everything else. She brushed her teeth, washed her face, and crawled into the narrow single bed wedged against the wall. Her alarm was set for 5:30. She'd be up before Tyler, making him breakfast, packing his lunch with whatever she could pull together. Her last thought before falling asleep was that she'd forgotten to check the lottery numbers. Laura's alarm went off at 5:30, the shrill beeping cutting through the darkness like a knife. She slapped it off and lay there for a moment, staring at the water stain on the ceiling that looked like a deformed butterfly. Tyler had soccer practice after school. She'd need to be at the diner by 6, work until 3, then rush to pick him up by 4:30. Her evening billing shift had been moved to tomorrow, which meant tonight she might actually have time to help Tyler with his history homework. She made coffee in the ancient coffee maker that sputtered and hissed, then scrambled eggs while checking her phone. A text from her mother. "Family dinner Sunday at 6. Don't be late this time. No. How are you? No. Hope you're doing well. Just a command. Laura deleted the message and opened her news app while the eggs cooked. The top story caught her eye. Record Powerball jackpot won. Single ticket sold in Connecticut. Her hand froze on the spatula. She grabbed her purse from the counter where she'd dropped it last night, digging through the debris at the bottom until her fingers closed around the crumpled lottery ticket. Her hands were shaking as she smoothed it out on the counter, the numbers on her phone screen. The numbers on her ticket. Powerball, 18, she checked again. And again. And a fourth time, Powerball, 18, the eggs started to burn. The smoke detector started beeping. Tyler stumbled out of the living room, rubbing his eyes. Mom, what's burning? Laura couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Tyler turned off the stove and waved a dish towel at the smoke detector until it stopped beeping. Mom, are you okay? She looked at her son. 14 years old, wearing basketball shorts he'd outgrown and a t-shirt with a hole in the collar. His cleats were held together with duct tape. She'd been planning to tell him he couldn't play soccer this season because they couldn't afford the fees. I'm fine, she whispered. I'm fine, but she wasn't fine. She was holding $18 million in her hand. After dropping Tyler at school, Laura didn't go to the diner. She called in sick for the first time in 3 years, her voice shaking as she lied about stomach flu. Then she drove aimlessly, the ticket in her pocket feeling like it was burning through her jeans. She parked at a Dunkin' Donuts and Googled, "What to do if you win the lottery" on her phone. The articles all said the same things. Sign the ticket immediately. Hire a lawyer. Don't tell anyone. Stay anonymous if possible. Connecticut allowed lottery winners to remain anonymous. She could claim this money and no one would ever have to know. But as Laura sat there, drinking bad coffee and watching people rush in and out with their normal problems, traffic, meetings, what to make for dinner, something shifted inside her. Her family had spent years telling her she was worthless, that she'd failed, that she was an embarrassment. They'd refused to help her when she was drowning, but she knew that the moment they found out about this money, they'd come crawling with their hands out. What if she could prove it? What if she could show them exactly who they really were? Laura pulled out her phone and called the only lawyer she knew, a guy named Robert Chen who'd handled her divorce. She'd barely been able to afford him then, paying in installments, but he'd been kind to her. Robert? It's Laura Mitchell. I need your help. Can we meet today? By that afternoon, Laura was sitting in Robert's office in a strip mall in Bridgeport, the ticket in his hands. This is real, he said slowly, examining it under a light. This is the winning ticket. I know. Laura, do you understand what this means? After taxes, you're looking at approximately $11 million. Your life just changed. I know, she said again. But I need your advice on something. She told him about her family. About the years of humiliation, the constant judgment, the way they looked at her like she was something they'd scraped off their shoes. She told him about her plan. Robert leaned back in his chair, studying her. You want to test them. I want to know the truth. Before they find out I have money, I want to see who they really are. I want proof. That's a very expensive psychology experiment. I can afford it now. Robert was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled. You know what? I respect it. Let's do this right. We'll sign the ticket, set up a trust, get everything legal and protected. But we'll keep it completely confidential. In Connecticut, you don't have to claim it publicly. We can structure this so that even if someone goes looking, they'll hit a brick wall. How long will it take? A few weeks to get everything set up properly. Then you can claim it through the trust. No one will ever connect it to you unless you tell them. Laura felt something she hadn't felt in years. Power. One more thing, she said. I need you to help me document everything. I want records. I want proof of every conversation, every interaction. If they fail this test, I want them to know exactly how they failed. Robert grinned. I like the way you think. That night, Laura went home and hid the ticket in an old Better Homes and Gardens cookbook from 1987 that she'd inherited from her grandmother, the only person in her family who'd ever shown her unconditional love. She tucked it between the pages of a recipe for apple pie that her grandmother used to make, the one that tasted like home. Tyler was doing homework at the kitchen table. You feeling better, Mom? Yeah, baby. I'm feeling a lot better. Good. Because I was thinking, maybe I don't need new cleats. The duct tape is holding pretty well. Laura walked over and hugged her son, holding him tight. You're getting new cleats. I promise she didn't tell him about the money, not yet. First, she had a test to conduct. Sunday dinner at the Donovan house was a ritual that Laura had learned to dread. Her mother would cook an elaborate meal, or rather, would have their housekeeper Maria cook it, and the family would gather around the dining room table in their expensive clothes, drinking expensive wine, and talking about their expensive lives. Laura usually wore the same black pants and blouse she'd worn to every family dinner for the past 2 years. No one noticed. Or if they did, they never mentioned it except through pointed glances at her sister's designer dresses. But this Sunday, March 24th, 2024, Laura arrived with a purpose. She parked her sputtering Honda in the circular driveway next to Marcus's Tesla and Beth's Range Rover. The house looked like something out of a magazine, perfectly manicured lawn, flowering trees, stone facade that screamed old money, even though Richard Donovan had grown up in a trailer park in Ohio. Her mother opened the door wearing pearls and a look of mild disapproval. You're late. Traffic, Laura lied. She'd actually been sitting in her car for 15 minutes rehearsing what she was about to do. The family was already seated in the dining room. Her father at the head of the table, reading something on his iPad. Marcus next to him, checking his phone. Beth and her husband Todd were there with their children, Madison and Cooper, who were playing games on their own tablets. Tyler sat at the far end, looking uncomfortable in his button-down shirt that Laura had found at Goodwill. Laura, her father said without looking up. Glad you could join us. They made small talk through the first course, Maria's famous butternut squash soup. Beth talked about Madison's writing lessons. Marcus complained about some zoning issue with a property development. Todd mentioned his latest bonus. No one asked Laura about her week. She waited until dessert was served, chocolate mousse in crystal glasses. Then she took a breath and dove in. Dad, I need to ask you something. Richard Donovan looked up from his mousse, his reading glasses perched on his nose. What is it? My car's having problems. The transmission is going out, and I got a quote for the repair. It's $500, she paused. I was hoping I could borrow it. Just until next month. I can pay you back. The table went silent. Beth and Marcus exchanged looks. Her mother set down her spoon with a little clink. Laura, her father said slowly. How old are you? 38. 38 years old, and you still can't manage your own finances. I manage fine. You work 2 jobs, Marcus interrupted. 2 jobs and you can't come up with $500? Laura had prepared for this. She kept her voice steady. Things have been tight. Tyler needed, her mother said sharply. It's always something Tyler needs. Maybe if you'd made better choices, you wouldn't be in this position. Beth leaned forward, her diamond bracelet catching the light. Mom's right. You can't keep coming to us every time you have a problem. It's embarrassing. I'm not asking for a handout, Laura said quietly. I said I'd pay it back. With what money? Her father demanded. You can barely keep a roof over your head. You live in that terrible apartment in that terrible neighborhood. When are you going to get your life together? Todd, Beth's husband, cleared his throat. Have you considered budgeting better? There are apps for that. Laura looked at Tyler. Her son's face was red, his eyes down. He was humiliated. Not by her, but for her. So that's a no, Laura said. Her father took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. Laura, I've given you money before. We all have. And it never changes anything. You just come back asking for more. I haven't asked you for anything in over a year. Because we told you to stop, Marcus said. We told you that if you wanted help, you needed to show us you were serious about improving your situation. Have you done that? Laura felt the familiar sting of tears and forced them back. Not tonight. Tonight was about observation, about gathering data. I'm working 2 jobs, she said. I'm raising my son. I'm doing everything I can. Then do more, her mother said coldly. Other people manage? Beth manages. She has 2 children and she still finds time to volunteer and maintain her figure. Beth smiled tightly, as if this comparison was a compliment rather than an insult to Laura. I guess I should go, Laura said, standing up. Thanks for dinner. Laura, don't be dramatic, her father said. Sit down. No, I think I've heard enough. She looked at each of them in turn. Her father, who'd made his fortune through ambition and ruthlessness, and expected everyone else to do the same. Her mother, who'd married money and forgot she'd once been a secretary. Her brother, who'd inherited their father's business and his contempt. Her sister, who'd married a wallet and called it love. Come on. Tyler, let's go. Tyler scrambled up, clearly relieved to escape. As they walked to the door, Laura heard Beth whisper to Marcus, "She's so sensitive. It's like she can't handle any criticism." In the car, Tyler was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Mom, I'm sorry." "For what, baby?" "For needing cleats. For making you ask them for money." Laura pulled over to the side of the road and turned to face her son. "Listen to me. You have nothing to be sorry for. Nothing. Do you understand? But I asked them because I wanted to see what they'd say. That's all. I wanted to know if they'd help. And they wouldn't. No," Laura said. "They wouldn't." She pulled back onto the road, heading home. Tyler turned on the radio and they drove in silence. But Laura was smiling. Test number 1 failed spectacularly. The next 2 weeks, Laura conducted her experiment with the precision of a scientist. She'd met with Robert Chen 3 more times, signing paperwork, setting up the trust, preparing to claim her winnings. Everything was in place. The money would be hers within days. But first, she needed more data. On April 3rd, 2024, Laura's car actually did break down. She hadn't planned it, which made it perfect. She was on her way home from her evening shift at the billing company when the transmission finally gave out completely. The car made a grinding noise, shuddered, and died right there on Route 1 in Norwalk. She called AOA first, then Tyler to let him know she'd be late. Then, with her phone at 20% battery, she scrolled through her contacts and called her brother. Marcus answered on the 4th ring. "What?" "Marcus, it's Laura. My car broke down on Route 1. I'm near the exit for... So call a tow truck." "I did. But I'm going to need a ride home after." "I was hoping... Laura, I'm in the middle of a business dinner. Can't you call Mom?" "She's at her book club." "Beth?" "Todd took the kids to his parents for the weekend." Marcus sighed heavily. "I don't know what to tell you." "Call an Uber." "I can't afford an Uber right now." "Marcus, please. I'm stranded on the side of the highway." "Then I guess you should have taken better care of your car." The line went dead. Laura stared at her phone, standing on the shoulder while cars whipped past at 60 miles an hour. The tow truck arrived 20 minutes later, driven by a guy named Jose who was kind and didn't ask too many questions. "Your family can't come get you?" he asked as he hooked up her Honda. "No," Laura said. "They're busy." It started to rain as Jose dropped her car at the mechanic's shop. He offered to drive her home. It was against company policy, but he felt bad. Laura almost said yes, but then she saw someone she recognized. Eleanor Martinez, her mother's friend from the country club, was pulling into the parking lot of the Whole Foods across the street. Laura had met her at family events, one of those perfectly preserved women with expensive highlights and designer workout clothes. "Mrs. Martinez!" Laura called out, jogging through the rain. Eleanor looked up, clearly not recognizing her at first. "Oh, Laura? Honey, what are you doing out here?" "My car broke down. I'm trying to get home to my son. Would you be able to give me a ride?" "I live..." "Of course, sweetheart. Get in." Laura climbed into Eleanor's Mercedes, soaking wet, her hair plastered to her face. Eleanor cranked up the heat and handed her a towel from her gym bag. "Your family couldn't come get you?" Eleanor asked. "They were all busy." Eleanor was quiet for a moment. "That's surprising." They made small talk during the 20-minute drive. The weather, Tyler's school, Eleanor's grandchildren. When they pulled up to Laura's apartment building, Eleanor looked at it with poorly disguised shock. "You live here?" "Yeah," Laura said. "It's not much, but it's home." Eleanor reached over and squeezed her hand. "Honey, if you ever need anything, you call me." "Okay, I mean it." "Thank you," Laura said. "Really?" She got out and watched Eleanor drive away, her expensive car disappearing into the rainy night. Then Laura went inside, soaking wet and exhausted, and found Tyler doing homework at the kitchen table. "You okay, Mom?" "I'm okay," but she wasn't okay. She was angry. Furious, actually. Not at Eleanor, who'd shown her more kindness than her own family, but at Marcus, who couldn't be bothered to drive 20 minutes to pick up his stranded sister. The next day, Laura had lunch with her mother at the country club. Patricia had suggested it, probably out of guilt, though she'd never admit it. They sat at a table overlooking the 18th hole, surrounded by women in tennis whites and men in golf polos. "I heard about your car," Patricia said, picking at her Caesar salad. "Eleanor called me." "Did she?" "She was very concerned about you." "About your living situation." Patricia said the words like they tasted bad. "Laura, I don't understand why you insist on struggling like this." "I'm not insisting on anything, Mom. I'm doing my best. Your best isn't good enough." Patricia set down her fork. "Do you know what it's like for me? My friends ask about you. They ask how you're doing. And what am I supposed to say? That my daughter is a waitress living in a slum?" Laura felt something crack inside her. "It's not a slum. It's an apartment. It's an embarrassment." "You're an embarrassment." The words hung in the air between them. Women at nearby tables glanced over, sensing drama. Patricia lowered her voice. "I've done everything for you. We all have. But you won't help yourself. You made bad choices, Laura. You married the wrong man. You had a child you couldn't afford. You dropped out of college. Every problem in your life is because of your own decisions. I dropped out of college because Dad wouldn't pay for it anymore after I got pregnant. Because we were trying to teach you about consequences." Laura stood up, her chair scraping loudly. "You know what, Mom? I'm done. Sit down. You're making a scene. Let me make a scene." Laura grabbed her purse. "Let everyone here see exactly what the Donovan family is really like. Let them see how you talk to your own daughter." She walked out of the country club with her head high, but her hands were shaking. In the parking lot, she sat in her rental car. The transmission repair was going to take a week, and took out her phone. She scrolled to her voice memo app, where she'd been secretly recording key conversations. Her mother's words were crystal clear. "You're an embarrassment. Test number 2. Failed even worse than the first." By mid-April, the lottery money was officially Laura's. $11.3 million, sitting in a trust that only she and Robert Chen knew about. She'd signed the papers, claimed the winnings anonymously through the trust, and walked out of the lottery office as a multimillionaire. Nothing in her life had changed outwardly. She still worked her shifts at the diner and the billing company. She still lived in the same apartment. Tyler still wore the same clothes and ate the same cheap meals, but inside, Laura was transforming. She felt powerful in a way she'd never experienced before. She wasn't desperate anymore. She was choosing this. Choosing to continue the experiment, to push it further, to see exactly how far her family's cruelty could go. Robert had tried to talk her out of it. "Laura, you've proven your point. They've shown you who they are. You can walk away now." "Not yet," she'd said. "I need one more test. The big one." On April 18th, Laura called her father from the diner during her break. She'd rehearsed this conversation in her mind for days. "Dad, I need to talk to you about something serious." "I'm busy, Laura. This is important." I'm losing my apartment." A pause. "What do you mean, losing it?" "The landlord is selling the building. Everyone has to be out by the end of the month. And I've been looking for another place, but everything's so expensive, and with my credit..." She let her voice crack, just a little. "I don't know what to do. Can't you find another apartment?" "I've tried. I've looked at 15 places. No one will rent to me. My credit score is too low, and I don't make enough to meet the income requirements." "Dad, I'm scared. Tyler and I might end up homeless." She could hear him breathing on the other end of the line, calculating, weighing his options. "What about staying with a friend?" he finally said. "I don't have anyone." "Dad, please. I'm asking if Tyler and I could stay with you and Mom, just for a few weeks until I figure something out." The pause was longer this time. "Let me talk to your mother," he called back that evening. Laura was making dinner, boxed mac and cheese, when her phone rang. "Your mother and I talked," Richard said. "We're willing to let you stay here temporarily." "Very temporarily. But there are rules." "Okay, you'll stay in the basement. There's a pull-out couch down there and a bathroom. Tyler can sleep on the couch in the TV room, the basement. The unfinished basement where they stored Christmas decorations and old furniture." "Thank you," Laura said, making her voice sound grateful and relieved. "Thank you so much. And Laura, you need to be actively looking for a place. This isn't permanent. We're not running a homeless shelter." "I understand." She hung up and turned to Tyler. "We're going to stay with Grandma and Grandpa for a little while." "Why?" "Because I want them to see something." She knelt down in front of her son. "Tyler, I need you to trust me. Things are going to be weird for the next couple weeks. But I need you to play along. Can you do that? What do you mean? Just follow my lead. Whatever happens, remember that I love you and I have a plan. Okay? Tyler looked confused but nodded. Okay, Mom. On April 22nd, Laura and Tyler moved into the Donovan house with 2 suitcases and a garbage bag full of clothes. Patricia met them at the door with a pinched expression. The basement is through the kitchen, she said. I expect you to keep it clean. The basement was cold and smelled like mildew. The pull-out couch was lumpy and stained. There was a tiny bathroom with a toilet and sink, but no shower. They'd have to use the one upstairs. Laura set down her suitcase and smiled. This was going to be perfect. The first few days were exactly as she'd expected. Beth came over with her kids and made pointed comments about how cozy the basement was. Marcus stopped by for dinner and acted like Laura and Tyler weren't even there, but it was the little things that really showed her the truth. Her mother wouldn't let them use the good towels. They had to eat after everyone else finished and clean up their own dishes immediately. Patricia made comments about the groceries they were eating through and suggested Laura contribute to the household expenses. I thought you didn't have any money, Patricia said one morning. Watching Laura make coffee, I have a little. I can pitch in. That would be appreciated. Laura overheard her parents talking one night when they thought she was asleep in the basement. She'd crept upstairs to get water and heard their voices in the study. I don't know how much longer I can stand having her here, Patricia said. She's almost 40 years old, Richard. When is she going to grow up? Some people are just born failures, her father replied. We did our best. She made her choices. Laura stood in the dark hallway, her phone in her pocket, recording every word. The worst moment came at dinner one evening in early May. Beth and Todd were there with Madison and Cooper. Marcus was there with his girlfriend, Ashley. They all sat around the dining room table while Laura and Tyler ate leftovers at the kitchen counter. They weren't invited to the table, but Laura could hear everything. I feel so bad for Mom and Dad, Beth said, having to take care of Laura at their age. She could get a better job if she really wanted to, Marcus added. She's just lazy. It's not laziness, Todd said. It's a lack of ambition. Some people just don't have that drive. Madison, who was 12, asked, Why does Aunt Laura live in your basement? Because she made bad choices, honey, Beth explained. That's why it's important to study hard and make smart decisions. Cooper, who was 9, looked toward the kitchen where Laura and Tyler sat. Does Tyler have to live in the basement because his mom is bad at decisions? The adults laughed. Actually laughed. Tyler's face turned bright red. He stood up, his fists clenched. Laura put her hand on his arm. It's okay, she whispered. It's not okay, Tyler said, his voice shaking. They're horrible, I know. But not much longer. I promise. That night, lying on the lumpy pull-out couch in the cold basement, Laura listened to her son breathing on the couch in the TV room upstairs and made a decision. It was time for the final act. On May 8th, 2024, Laura woke up early and drove to downtown Hartford. She wore the nicest clothes she owned, the black pants and blouse from family dinners, and carried a folder full of documents that Robert Chen had prepared for her. The law offices of Chen and Associates were in a modern building with gleaming floors and expensive art on the walls. Laura had been here before, but today felt different. Today she wasn't asking for help. She was claiming what was hers. Robert met her in his office, smiling. Ready for this? More than ready. They went over the final details. The trust was established, the money was protected, and Laura's identity as the lottery winner was completely secure. Connecticut's privacy laws meant that no one could trace the winning ticket back to her, but that wasn't why she was here today. I want to buy a house, Laura said. In Greenwich. Near my parents? Robert raised an eyebrow. How near? Right next door, if possible. There's a property for sale 2 houses down from them. I looked it up. It's been on the market for 3 months. That's a $4 million house, Laura. I can afford it, Robert grinned. You're really going to do this. I'm really going to do this. They spent the next 3 hours with a real estate attorney, making an all-cash offer on the house. It was a beautiful colonial with 6 bedrooms, a pool, and a circular driveway. Laura had driven past it a dozen times in the last week, imagining what her mother's face would look like when she saw the moving trucks. By that afternoon, the offer was accepted. Laura Mitchell, waitress, single mom, family embarrassment, had just bought a house 2 doors down from her parents for $4 million cash. The next morning, she met with a financial advisor. Robert had recommended him, a guy named David Patel who specialized in helping lottery winners manage their money. First rule, David said, don't go crazy. You have $11 million, which sounds like a lot, but it can disappear quickly if you're not smart. I'm planning to be very smart, Laura said. They set up a structured plan. $2 million for the house, leaving $9 million. $6 million would go into diversified investments, stocks, bonds, real estate trusts. $1 million into a high-yield savings account for emergencies. $1 million into a college fund for Tyler. The remaining $1 million would be her spending money, for living expenses, travel, whatever she wanted. You could live comfortably on $50,000 a year just from investment returns, David explained. More if the market does well. You'll never have to work again if you don't want to. Laura thought about the diner, the grease-stained uniform, the aching feet. She thought about the billing company, the fluorescent lights, the headset that left grooves in her hair. I'm done working, she said. I quit. She called both jobs that afternoon and gave them the news. Her manager at the diner sounded genuinely sad to lose her. Her supervisor at the billing company barely reacted. Tyler came home from school to find his mother sitting on the basement couch, smiling. What's going on? He asked. Sit down, baby. I need to tell you something. She told him everything. The lottery ticket, the $18 million, the test she'd been conducting on the family. Tyler's eyes got wider and wider. We're rich? He whispered. We're comfortable, Laura corrected. And we're going to be smart about it. But yes, we don't have to worry about money anymore. Tyler was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, They've been so mean to you? I know. To both of us. I know. What are you going to do? Laura smiled. I'm going to show them exactly who they are. Over the next 2 weeks, Laura continued to live in the basement, playing the role of the struggling single mother. She pretended to go to job interviews. She talked about looking at apartments in bad neighborhoods. She acted grateful for her parents' hospitality, but secretly she was planning. The house was being prepared. Furniture was being delivered. Her things, the few possessions that actually mattered to her, were being moved in by professionals she'd hired. Tyler's new bedroom had a walk-in closet bigger than their entire old apartment. Robert helped her set up financial accounts, credit cards in her name with the trust as backing, and all the legal protections she'd need. She was no longer just Laura Mitchell, struggling waitress. She was Laura Mitchell, millionaire. But nobody knew it yet. On May 20th, Laura's mother commented at breakfast, You've been here almost a month. Have you found an apartment yet? I'm working on it, Laura said, buttering toast with the cheap margarine Patricia bought specifically for guests. Well, work faster, Patricia said. Your father and I didn't plan on having permanent house guests. Laura looked at her mother, this woman who'd given birth to her, who was supposed to love her unconditionally, and felt nothing but pity. Don't worry, Mom, Laura said softly. I'll be out of your hair very soon. That evening, Laura drove past her new house. The for sale sign had been taken down. The landscapers had finished. The place looked like something out of a magazine, even more beautiful than her parents' house. She couldn't wait to see their faces. On May 24th, 2024, Laura sent a text to the family group chat, the one where she was always the last to respond, the one where her messages were often ignored. The text said, I'd like to take everyone to dinner this Saturday. My treat, to say thank you for everything and to say goodbye properly. Please come. It's important. 7 p.m. at the Boathouse in Greenwich. The Boathouse was the most expensive restaurant in Greenwich. Laura had eaten there once years ago for Beth's birthday, and had ordered the cheapest thing on the menu while everyone else had lobster. Her phone started buzzing immediately. Beth, you're taking US to dinner? How are you paying for this? Marcus, what's this about goodbye? Her mother called directly. Laura, what's going on? I just want to do something nice for the family. To thank you for letting me stay with you. You can barely afford rent. How are you paying for dinner at the Boathouse? I have some savings, Laura lied smoothly. I've been putting a little aside. Please, Mom, it would mean a lot to me. Patricia was quiet for a moment. Fine, we'll be there. But this better not be some scheme where you expect us to pay. It's not, Laura promised. Everything's taken care of. Saturday arrived. Laura woke up early in the basement for the last time. She'd already moved most of her and Tyler's things to the new house, doing it in small loads, late at night when her parents were asleep. They hadn't noticed. They never noticed anything about her. She showered upstairs, using the good towels for the first time, and smiled when her mother snapped at her for it. "Those are for guests." "I am a guest." "Mom." She dressed carefully, not in her usual cheap clothes, but in an outfit she'd bought specifically for this occasion. A simple but elegant navy dress from Nordstrom, the first new dress she'd bought in 5 years. Pearl earrings that had belonged to her grandmother. Low heels that actually fit properly. When she came upstairs, Patricia looked her up and down. "Where did you get that dress?" "I've had it for a while," Laura lied. Tyler came out in new clothes too, khakis and a button-down that actually fit him, that Laura had secretly bought earlier that week. "You both look nice," Richard said, surprised. "What's the occasion?" "Just wanted to look good for our last family dinner," Laura said. They arrived at the boathouse at 6:45. Laura had made the reservation for 7, but she wanted to be early. She wanted to be the one waiting, for once, instead of the one rushing in late and apologetic. The restaurant sat on the water, all glass and white tablecloths and sparkling chandeliers. A pianist played softly in the corner. The host recognized money when he saw it, and he saw it in Laura's bearing tonight, the confidence, the lack of apology in her posture. "Reservation for Mitchell," Laura said. "Party of 10? "Of course, Ms. Mitchell. Right this way." He led them to a private section overlooking the water. The table was set beautifully, with fresh flowers and candles. Laura had called ahead and arranged everything. Her family arrived in clusters. Beth and Todd with the kids all dressed up and looking curious. Marcus and Ashley fashionably late. Her parents dressed like they were attending a gala. "This is quite the table," Patricia said, sitting down and immediately picking up the menu. Her eyes widened at the prices. "Laura, are you sure about this?" "Completely sure," Laura said. The waiter came over. "May I start you with drinks?" "We have an excellent champagne selection." "We'll take a bottle of Dom Perignon," Laura said calmly. Her mother's head snapped up. "Laura, that's $400 a bottle." "I know." Everyone was staring at her now. "What's going on?" Marcus demanded. "How are you paying for this?" "Order whatever you want," Laura said, ignoring the question. "Tonight is on me. Celebrate." She could see the confusion on their faces. The suspicion? Beth whispered something to Todd. Her father was watching her like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. They ordered appetizers, entrees, sides. Beth and Patricia tried to order modestly at first, but Laura insisted they get whatever they wanted. Marcus ordered a $200 steak. Ashley got the lobster. Madison asked, "Aunt Laura, did you win the lottery or something?" The table went silent. Laura smiled at her niece. "Something like that, sweetie." The food came. It was incredible. The kind of meal Laura used to dream about when she was eating ramen for the 3rd night in a row. She watched her family eat, watched them drink the expensive champagne, watched them slowly relax into the luxury of it all. They started talking like they always did, about their lives, their accomplishments, their plans. No one asked Laura about her life. No one asked Tyler about school. They just assumed this was some kind of last hurrah, some final desperate attempt to impress them before she slunk off into poverty again. Dessert came: chocolate lava cake, creme brulee, tiramisu. Tyler got a massive ice cream sundae that made him grin. The waiter approached the table with a leather folder. "Ma'am, whenever you're ready." He tried to hand it to Laura, but Patricia reached for it. "Let me see how much this—" The waiter smoothly pulled it back. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but Ms. Mitchell's card is already on file. This is just the receipt for her records." Patricia's eyes narrowed. "Card on file?" Laura took the folder and glanced at the receipt. $3,200 for dinner. She'd spent more than that on Tyler's bedroom furniture last week. "Yes," Laura said calmly. "I called ahead and gave them my card. I wanted everything to be smooth tonight." "What card?" Marcus demanded. "You don't have a credit card. Your credit is destroyed." Laura pulled out her new wallet, Prada, another recent purchase, and extracted a black American Express card. She laid it on the table. "I got a new card." Beth leaned forward, squinting at it. "That's a Centurion card. You can't just get one of those. You need to be invited. You need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year." "I qualified," Laura said simply. Her father reached for the card, but Laura pulled it back. Dad, I want to tell you all something. She had their full attention now. Even the kids had stopped playing on their tablets. I want to thank you, Laura said slowly, for the last month. For letting Tyler and me stay with you. For showing me what family really means. Of course, dear, Patricia said, but there was uncertainty in her voice. I also want to thank you for the past few years. For teaching me exactly who I could count on when things got hard. The table was very quiet now. Laura. Her father started. She reached into her purse and pulled out a folded piece of paper. She smoothed it out on the table. This is my lottery claim receipt, she said. From March 15th, 2024, I won $18 million. No one moved. No one breathed. After taxes, it came to about $11.3 million. Beth's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Marcus went pale. Her mother's hand went to her chest. That's not possible, Patricia whispered. It's very possible. I can show you the bank statements if you'd like. The trust documents. All of it. The silence at the table was deafening. In the background, the pianist was playing something soft and jazzy, and other diners were laughing and talking, but at Laura's table, no one made a sound. Tyler was grinning. He'd known this moment was coming, and he was clearly enjoying watching his family's faces. Finally, Marcus found his voice. You won the lottery. $11 million. And you didn't tell us? That's right. When? Beth demanded. When did this happen? I bought the ticket on March 13th, found out I won on March 15th, claimed it through a trust in early April. Patricia was doing math in her head, her face going through a series of expressions. You won in March. It's May now. That's 2 months. You've had this money for 2 months. Longer, actually. I had the winning ticket in March, but it took a few weeks to set everything up properly. And you didn't tell us, her father said, his voice hard. Laura met his eyes. No, I didn't. Why the hell not? Marcus exploded. We're your family. Are you? Laura asked softly. I wanted to find out. So I tested you. Tested us? I asked Dad for $500 for my car. Do you remember what you said to me? Richard shifted in his seat. You said I couldn't manage my own finances. You said I needed to get my life together. You refused to lend me $500. Because we've lent you money before, Patricia said defensively. And I never paid it back because I was barely surviving, Laura interrupted. But that's not the point. I didn't actually need the money. I had $11 million in the bank. I was testing you. Testing if you'd help me when you thought I had nothing. She turned to Marcus. When my car broke down, I called you. You were at a business dinner. Do you remember what you told me? Marcus looked away. You told me to call an Uber. Your sister was stranded on the highway in the rain. And you told her to call an Uber because you were too busy. I had clients, you had priorities, Laura said. And I wasn't one of them. She looked at her mother. When Eleanor Martinez gave me a ride home, she called you. Do you remember what you said to me the next day? Patricia's hands were trembling. Laura, you're twisting everything. You said I was an embarrassment. You said you didn't know what to tell your friends when they asked about me. You said every problem in my life was because of my own bad choices. That's not... I recorded the conversation, Mom. I have it on my phone. Would you like me to play it? Patricia went silent. Laura turned to the whole table. For the past month, I've been living in your basement. Tyler slept on a couch in the TV room. We ate leftovers at the kitchen counter while you all sat at the dining room table. We weren't invited to join you. We weren't part of the family. We were charity cases, burdens. We let you stay with us, Richard said. We opened our home. You let me sleep in an unfinished basement and made me feel grateful for it, Laura said. You made comments about the food we ate. You charged me for groceries. You let your grandchildren mock their cousin at the dinner table. Beth had tears in her eyes now, but Laura didn't know if they were real or calculated. I heard everything, Laura continued. Every cruel word, every judgment, every laugh at our expense. I recorded most of it. And I want you to know that I heard every single thing you said about me when you thought I couldn't hear. Laura, we didn't mean, Beth started. Yes, you did, Laura said firmly. You meant every word. You looked at me and saw a failure. Someone to pity and judge and feel superior to. And when I asked for help, just small things, reasonable things, you refused. You told me to do better, to try harder, to stop being such a burden. She pulled out her phone and scrolled through her voice memos. I have hours of recordings. You talking about me? Judging me? Laughing about me? Would you like me to play some of them? That's illegal, Marcus said. Actually, in Connecticut, it's completely legal to record conversations you're part of, Laura said. I checked with my lawyer. Robert Chen. You might remember him. He handled my divorce. He's been helping me with the lottery winnings and the trust and all the legal paperwork. She scrolled to a specific recording. This is from May 10th. You were all at dinner. Beth, you said something to Madison. Do you remember? Beth shook her head, but her face was red. Laura hit play. Madison's voice came through the phone speaker. Why does Aunt Laura live in your basement? Beth's voice, clear as day. Because she made bad choices, honey. That's why it's important to study hard and make smart decisions. Cooper's voice. Does Tyler have to live in the basement because his mom is bad at decisions? And then laughter. Adult laughter. Laura stopped the recording. Tyler was staring at his aunt with something like hatred in his eyes. That's my son you were laughing about, Laura said quietly. A 14-year-old kid who's never done anything to deserve your contempt except have me as his mother. Laura, we're sorry, Beth said, tears streaming down her face now. We didn't know. We didn't realize. You didn't realize I could hear you? Laura asked. Or you didn't realize I was a human being with feelings? We thought we were helping, Patricia said, her voice breaking. By giving you tough love. By pushing you to do better. You weren't helping. You were just being cruel. Laura took a breath. But here's the thing. I don't need your help anymore. I don't need your approval or your money or your tough love. I have everything I need now. What are you saying? Her father asked. Laura stood up and Tyler stood with her. I'm saying goodbye. I'm saying that I've seen exactly who you all are when you think someone has nothing to offer you. And I want you to remember this feeling, this moment right now for the rest of your lives. She reached into her purse and pulled out a set of keys. She held them up so everyone could see. These are the keys to my new house. The one I bought 3 weeks ago? $4 million cash. I moved in yesterday. You bought a house? Marcus said. Where? Laura smiled. 2 doors down from Mom and Dad. The big colonial with the pool. You've probably driven past it. Patricia made a sound like she'd been punched. That house? That's the Rothstein place. That's $4 million. I know. I paid cash. Closed in a week. The moving trucks finished yesterday while you all were out. She dropped the basement door key on the table. Thanks for the basement, Mom. It was very enlightening. But I won't be needing it anymore. The table erupted. Marcus lunged forward. You can't buy a house without telling anyone. I can, and I did. Laura, please, her father said, standing up. His voice was shaking. Let's talk about this rationally. You're upset, I understand that, but I'm not upset, Laura said calmly. I'm done. Done with what? Beth asked, mascara running down her face. Done with your family? Done with being treated like I'm worthless. Done with being your punching bag, your cautionary tale, your source of gossip at the country club. Patricia stood up too, reaching across the table toward Laura. Sweetheart, you're misunderstanding everything. We love you. We've always loved you. We were just trying to help you become independent by calling me an embarrassment, by refusing to help when I was stranded, by letting me sleep in your basement while you talked about what a failure I was. We didn't know you had money, Patricia said desperately. If you'd known, you would have treated me differently, Laura finished. I know, that's exactly the point. Her father tried a different approach. Laura, I know I was hard on you. Maybe too hard. But it was only because I wanted you to be strong. To be successful like Marcus and Beth. I am successful, Laura said. I raised a good kid on no money and no help from any of you. I worked 2 jobs. I survived. That's success, Dad. But you never saw it that way because I didn't have a big house or an expensive car. So now you're going to cut us out of your life? Marcus demanded. Because we hurt your feelings? Tyler stepped forward, his voice tight with anger. You didn't hurt her feelings. You destroyed her. For years. And she never stopped trying to be part of this family even though you treated her like garbage. Tyler? Todd started. No! Tyler's voice cracked. You laughed at me. You said my mom made bad decisions and that's why we lived in a basement. You said it right in front of me like I wasn't even there. Like I didn't matter. Madison started crying. I'm sorry, Tyler, I didn't mean. Yes, you did, Tyler said. You all did. And now my mom has more money than all of you combined, and you're panicking because you realize you can't control her anymore. Ashley, Marcus's girlfriend, spoke up for the first time. This is insane. Marcus, let's just go. No, Marcus said sharply. Then to Laura. Okay, fine, you win. You proved your point. We were jerks. Is that what you want to hear? We're sorry. Now can we move past this? Move past it? Laura repeated. Move past years of humiliation? What do you want from us? Beth asked. Money. Do you want us to apologize? What do you want? Laura looked at each of them in turn. Her father, who'd built an empire but couldn't spare $500 for his daughter. Her mother, who cared more about appearances than her own child. Her brother, who'd inherited everything and looked down on everyone. Her sister, who'd married money and forgot what it was like to struggle. I don't want anything from you, Laura said. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I don't need your approval anymore. I don't need your help. I don't need to prove myself to you. So that's it? Richard said, his face red now. You're just going to throw away your family? I'm not throwing away anything. I'm just done accepting scraps and pretending they're love. Patricia's voice rose to a near shriek. After everything we've done for you, we raised you. We gave you everything. You gave me things, Mom. You never gave me respect. You never gave me dignity. You never saw me as an equal, because you weren't our equal, Patricia shouted, then immediately looked horrified at what she'd said. The restaurant had gone quiet. Other diners were staring now. There it is, Laura said softly. The truth. Her mother tried to backtrack. I didn't mean that came out wrong. It came out honest, Laura said. Thank you for that at least. She looked at Tyler. Ready to go? So ready, he said. They started to walk away from the table. Behind them, chaos erupted. Laura, wait! Beth called out. We can fix this. Marcus shouted, her father's voice commanding as always. Laura Michelle Mitchell, you sit back down right now? Laura stopped and turned. No, I'm your father. I'm telling you, you're telling me what? That I have to obey you? I'm 38 years old, Dad, and more importantly, I don't need anything from you anymore. You have no power over me. She reached into her purse one more time and pulled out a stack of envelopes. She walked back to the table and placed one in front of each family member. What's this? Marcus asked suspiciously. Open them. Beth opened hers first. Inside was a check for $10,000 and a typed note. She read it out loud, her voice shaking. Beth, this is for all the times I borrowed money from you and couldn't pay it back. Paid in full with interest. We're even now. Each envelope contained the same thing. A check repaying old debts, plus interest, plus a note making it clear that Laura owed them nothing anymore. Her father stared at his check. This is $25,000. That's what I calculated I owed you over the years. It's all there. Every dollar I ever borrowed. Every dinner you paid for when I couldn't afford my share. Every gift you gave Tyler that you later complained about. It's all paid back. We don't want your money, Patricia whispered. Then throw the checks away, Laura said. But don't ever say I owe you anything. Don't ever say you supported me. We're done. We're even, and we're finished. She turned to leave again. But this time her father's voice stopped her. If you walk out that door, you're no longer my daughter. Laura felt something inside her shatter and reform. Stronger than before. Good, she said. Then I'm free. She took Tyler's hand. And they walked out of the boathouse together, leaving her entire family sitting at the table in shocked silence. The valets brought Laura's car around. Not a rental. Not her old Honda, but a brand new silver Tesla Model X that she'd bought 2 days ago. Tyler whistled. This is ours? This is ours. They climbed in and Laura sat for a moment, her hands on the steering wheel, breathing. You okay, Mom? I'm perfect, she said, and she meant it. She pulled out of the parking lot, drove past the waterfront, and headed toward Greenwich. Toward her new house. Her new life. The house was beautiful in the evening light. Laura pulled into the circular driveway, her driveway, and just sat for a moment, looking at it. 6 bedrooms. A pool, a library, a home office, a garage that could fit 3 cars. More space than she'd ever dreamed of having. Tyler was already out of the car, running toward the front door. Come on, Mom. I want to show you how I arranged my room. Laura followed him inside, flipping on lights as she went. Everything was clean and new and hers. No water stains on the ceiling. No broken heater. No neighbors fighting overhead. Her phone started buzzing immediately. Text after text. Beth, please call me. We need to talk. Marcus, you're being unreasonable. Call me back, her mother. I'm sorry for what I said. Please forgive me, her father. We need to discuss this as a family. Laura turned off her phone and set it on the kitchen counter. Tyler came back downstairs grinning. This place is amazing. I still can't believe it's real. It's real, Laura promised. They ordered pizza, expensive pizza from a fancy place that delivered, and ate it in the dining room at the table that sat 12. Just the two of them in all that space. What happens now? Tyler asked. Now we live our lives, Laura said. You finish high school. I figure out what I want to do with my time. We travel. We help people who actually need it. We're happy. What about them? Laura thought about her family, probably still sitting at the boathouse, or maybe they'd gone home to the house 2 doors down. She thought about her mother looking out the window and seeing Laura's new house, seeing her new car in the driveway. They'll either learn something from this or they won't, Laura said. Either way, it's not my problem anymore. Her phone was still buzzing on the counter, even though it was silenced. She could see the screen lighting up over and over. Aren't you going to answer? Tyler asked. No. Not even to tell them off more? Laura smiled. I don't need to. The best revenge isn't screaming or fighting or making a scene. The best revenge is being happy, being successful, being free. She stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the perfectly landscaped yard, the pool with its underwater lights glowing blue in the darkness. When you have nothing, she said quietly, people watch you drown. They stand on the shore and tell you to swim harder, to try harder, to stop being so weak. But when you rise, when you pull yourself out of the water, they panic. Because suddenly they're not better than you anymore. And they can't handle it. Tyler came to stand beside her. I'm proud of you, Mom. Laura pulled her son into a hug, holding him tight. I'm proud of us. The next morning, Laura woke up in her new bedroom, a massive space with a king-sized bed and windows overlooking the garden. She made coffee in her new kitchen with appliances that actually worked properly. She sat on her new deck and watched the sunrise. And then she saw them. Her mother, standing in her own yard 2 houses down, staring at Laura's house with binoculars. Laura waved. Patricia quickly lowered the binoculars and went back inside. Laura laughed. Actually laughed. It felt good. Over the next few weeks, the attempts at reconciliation continued. Her father sent her a formal letter through his lawyer, suggesting they discuss the family estate planning and Laura's role in the family business. Laura sent back a note through Robert, Chen declining any involvement. Beth showed up at her door with flowers and tears, begging for forgiveness. Laura accepted the flowers but told her sister that forgiveness would take time. Maybe a lot of time, maybe forever. Marcus tried to friend her on LinkedIn, probably hoping to use her lottery win for some business connection. She declined the request. Her mother sent cards, long letters, voicemails, all of them saying the same thing, we love you. We're sorry. Please come back to the family. But Laura had learned something crucial. Love without respect isn't really love. And she'd spent too many years accepting scraps and calling them affection. She enrolled Tyler in a private school, the same one Madison and Cooper attended, actually. The look on Beth's face at the first parent event was priceless. Laura started volunteering at a women's shelter, helping single mothers navigate the system, find resources, get back on their feet. She knew what it was like to be broke and desperate and judged. She gave them what her family had never given her, dignity and genuine help. She traveled with Tyler, Paris, London, Tokyo, places she'd only ever seen in magazines, and she was happy. Genuinely, deeply happy. One night, 6 months after the dinner at the boathouse, Laura was sitting on her deck when her phone rang. It was a number she didn't recognize. Hello? Laura? It's Eleanor Martinez. Your mother's friend? Hi, Eleanor. I heard about what happened. The whole country club is talking about it. A pause. I wanted to tell you something. That night I picked you up when your car broke down. I called your mother afterward to tell her how worried I was about you. Do you know what she said to me? What? She said, Eleanor, some people are just meant to struggle. Laura made her choices. And I remember thinking, what a horrible thing to say about your own daughter. Eleanor's voice softened. I'm glad you won that lottery, honey. I'm glad you got out. You deserved better than how they treated you. Thank you, Laura said, tears in her eyes. And for what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Sometimes you have to walk away from toxic people, even if they're family. Especially if they're family. After they hung up, Laura sat in the darkness, listening to the crickets, feeling the warm night air on her skin. She thought about revenge. How she'd imagined it for so long. Dramatic confrontations, vindictive actions, burning bridges with theatrical flair. But this was better. This quiet victory. This peaceful, comfortable life where she didn't owe anyone anything. Where she didn't have to perform or prove or plead. Revenge doesn't always scream. Sometimes, it just wins the lottery. Sometimes it just walks away. Sometimes, it just chooses itself. And sometimes that's enough. Tyler graduated from high school with honors 3 years later. The graduation ceremony was at the private school, and half the Donovan family was there for Madison and Cooper. Laura sat in the audience in a beautiful dress, her hair professionally styled, her chin high. When Tyler walked across the stage, she stood and cheered louder than anyone. Her family watched from across the auditorium. They didn't approach her. They'd learned. After the ceremony, Tyler asked, "Do you ever regret it? Cutting them off?" Laura thought about the question seriously. She thought about the good times, the few that existed. Christmas mornings when she was little. Her grandmother's hugs. Moments of genuine laughter before everything went wrong. But she also thought about the bad times. The constant judgment. The cruelty. The way they'd made her feel small and worthless and broken. "No," she said finally. "I don't regret it. Because they had a choice, Tyler. When I asked for help, when I was at my lowest, they chose to kick me when I was down. They chose to make me feel worthless. And when I proved I wasn't worthless, when I showed them I could thrive without them, they wanted back in. Not because they loved me, because they wanted access to what I had. Do you think they learned anything? I hope so. But that's not my job anymore." They drove home together, to the house that was filled with light and love and possibility. Laura had invested wisely. Tyler had a full college fund. She'd helped dozens of families through her volunteer work. She'd created a good life. A real life. A life built on her own terms. And every morning, when she woke up in her beautiful bedroom in her beautiful house, she felt grateful. Not for the money, though that helped, but for the clarity. For finally seeing the truth. For finally choosing herself. Her family still lived 2 doors down. Sometimes she saw them from a distance. Sometimes she heard through mutual friends that they talked about her, wondered about her, regretted losing her. But Laura had moved on. She'd learned the most important lesson. You can't make people love you the way you deserve to be loved. You can't make them see your value if they're determined to see you as worthless. All you can do is save yourself. Build your own life. Choose your own happiness. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, you win the lottery, not just the money. The kind where you finally realize you deserve better, and you walk away from people who will never give it to you. That's the real jackpot. That's the real win. And Laura Mitchell had won it all.